I don't think anyone caught that.
Well, but do you want people to write in and say how funny that was?
I just don't. I think because of the way we did it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
We're definitely not Saturday Night Live.
Jared should just make it into a reel.
When you tripped.
We're just
all
just
of our bloopers.
Do a story for the podcast.
Jared, what's your next thing for today? Okay.
Mine too. Where are you going? Oh, okay, good for you.
All right, ready?
Probably gonna do Taco Bell and let the dogs out.
Taco John's.
Taco John's isn't on my way to the house.
Oh.
It's like.
Welcome to the Final Hour podcast, coming to you from the original Living Word Christian Center out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. My name is Jim Hammond, and
I'm Lonaiah Farrell.
I'm John Gap.
And I'm JD.
JD.
Jerry.
John.
Jeremiah Dupree.
The
Here
others.
we are. The others.
The others.
Hi, Mom.
We're still here.
When you're one of 5 kids, you'd feel like you're one of the others.
Yeah, that's
at
true.
some
I'm
point.
1 of 4.
Yeah, like one of the others.
One of them.
Plus, you're a twin.
Yeah, so there's like the twins. But I think my other sisters felt like the others because it was like, where's the twins?
Like, where are the twins?
And then, which sister are you? And it was like so awkward. I remember being a kid being like, don't say that. Please, person, be, I don't know, socially apt enough to not ask questions about little kids.
Can you
like
just
that.
leave it alone, please?
I know, it was like so awkward. So know that.
And that
if
is
there's
why
twins in a
Lonaiah
family,
is
how I am today.
how the way she is today.
I see everybody.
Uh-huh.
I make a point.
Well, according to your sister, she was the unseen one.
But that's
But
why I see
She was definitely
others.
heard.
She was definitely heard.
Didn't she chase you around the house with a knife or something?
I mean, that's just siblings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jimmy would chase me around with scissors.
Yeah, same.
He
Scissors,
also,
knives, hangers.
I have a very vivid memory of him being upset about something, and I'm like maybe 10, so he's like 6, 7, and he was upset. And I went to our room, and I'm on the floor, on my knee, just playing with something. He bursts in the door and chucks a drill bit, and it sticks in my knee, just like a bullseye.
Did you have a scar there?
I can't tell now, but I was like, I was like,
What'd your mom say? Did he get in trouble?
no, he didn't.
Because he cried and lied and
Yeah,
said,
probably.
John said,
I think one time,
Jimmy.
I was 10 and my brother was 7, and I remember I did something and he threw a shoe and hit me in the head. And so I'm chasing him through the house.
Yeah.
My parents weren't home. He runs out into the garage and he picks up a jump rope. And so he's doing this. He's going,
Yeah.
Oh,
like a
yeah, you
whip.
had to find your weapons.
And the jump rope had a wooden handle.
Yep.
Don't come close to me. I'll hit you. And I'm watching it go by. I'm trying to time it.
Yeah.
And so I stepped in and he stepped back and popped me in the head with the
Good reflexes.
And then starts swinging again. I hit you. You better not come
Hey, you
close.
figure out how to defend yourself real fast.
And so I try to time it again. I was going to wait till it goes right by my head, and then I was going to rush him. But he kept backing up every time I rushed him, and I think he got me 3 times with that wooden handle before I finally got to him.
Good for you, John.
Yes.
Then what happened when you got to him?
I mean, he started it too.
He threw a shoe at your
I
head?
think I was bothering him.
Yeah.
I was bothering him.
That's what brothers do.
I don't know. I didn't have a brher, but I believe you.
And
I
you have
2
enough
boys.
sisters. You definitely got bothered, or you may have been the botherer. I don't know.
I don't know.
Lonaiah's
Were
not
you?
gonna say.
Was
Were
I
you
the bother?
botherer? I thought the way you make it sound, you got
very innocent.
you got bullied and you were
I did get
treated
bullied.
unfairly,
I was.
and you were.
I was. I probably didn't bother people because I was bullied as a kid.
I was.
Who bullied you?
Severely. People at school all the time. Starting as a little kid, like somebody broke my glasses and buried them in the
talked
sand.
about that.
That's traumatic stuff. Look, but here I am today.
Here you are.
No, you're the
I'm an
bully.
overcome. I'm a bully?
No,
Okay.
she's
I'm
not
not
a
a
bully.
bully.
She's stout.
stout bully, a stout gazelle bully.
Have you seen Baltimore's
was trying to tell him.
contact picture for
A stout gazelle. It's a stout gazelle, and then it's a gazelle. He did that the other day because Heather was talking about it at staff bagel day.
Yeah, Heather. I need to remind you, Heather, she's never won against me.
We're talking about racing because Heather brought up racing.
Why are you talking about even bringing that up? She's never won the race.
How good of a swimmer are you?
Multiple
Lonaiah?
times.
No, so we can't do it there.
Okay.
Well, you both have beat me, so maybe you guys need a race.
Why?
It's not gonna
we don't
be-
even care. You're the one that
I
cares.
don't care because I know I'm not going to beat him.
You're the one that thinks you can beat all of us, even
Well,
though you've
you
never
should
beaten
have
any
some
of us.
sort of confidence about
In
yourself.
high school, I ran like a 4.8, 4.9.
I don't even
so
remember.
that's not even.
I was always on the boys' side. Like when they would separate you to the President's Fitness Award, they always were like, Lonaiah, you get to be with the boys. What's happening?
Sorry,
Let's hear it for the boys.
I just adjusted.
Speaking of, I know you want to start, but did you guys see that?
We have
Was
started.
it the UConn coach, the lady?
Yeah.
Who asked when they were like interviewing her? They asked what she thought about trans athletes playing.
What'd she say?
She's
That
South
was a
Carolina.
South Carolina
South
coach.
Carolina women's coach. She said, "Yes, I do believe that transgender should be allowed to play in women's sports."
And she is stupid.
And then
Riley
Gaines.
Gaines just lit that up and
No, but an ex NBA
oh yeah.
star,
Yeah.
a male, said, "So you would be okay if I came and played for your team." He
Oh, yeah.
tweeted her.
He did tweet her, yeah.
So no comment to that, I guess.
But like, come on.
I have some context. Not that I'm not going to name drop
Yeah.
anyone, but I
You
know
do.
people in the WNBA, and they think the whole thing is absolutely stupid, and it is such a push for certain ideologies to try to take that over. But it's like
Yeah, it's
there is
crazy.
no good comparison to have a biological male compete in athletics with women.
And do you see any
And
women
that is
going to the
from
men's
a
side?
woman
No.
saying that.
Look,
Yeah,
look,
absolutely.
and it's going to ruin.
Look at
the women's basketball. I
Yeah.
mean, it's the most watched. It's the highest, most amazing
Yeah, it was
basketball. Iowa, South Carolina.
Yeah.
Stanford, I love that girl.
And
Cameron.
the game before that, even Iowa and LSU.
LSU, yeah.
That was great.
I'm just saying, it's reached a point, women's basketball, and then if you put transgender men in there, in 10 years, every team to be competitive, the good ones are going to have 2 transgender males.
Right.
The really good ones will have 3 or 4. Okay, this is going to ruin women's athletics because these people have to stick by their little twisted doctrines and basically put men in female sports. Just when female sports, I mean, you're talking to a man
breaking out.
that coached girls basketball for 17 years in high school. Sorry about that,
I hope it's your mom again.
Jerry. It keeps it real if you don't.
I would like to, what did
it
your
was-
mom say about being on the podcast last
Nothing.
week? Nothing.
We never talked about it again.
That's too bad.
I mean, she just made a phone call. It's like she was really like on it.
She could have been.
But I was saying, they're going to ruin, just as women's
Yeah.
sports are getting traction here,
Yep.
and they're going to start sticking men in there
Yep.
just because they identify as a woman. It's just ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
It's going to ruin it.
Yes.
It's going to ruin women's sports.
Yep.
And, here's the thing. Let's watch what happens. These games, look at how watched these women's basketball games were.
Right.
Watch what happens when you get 2 to 3 transgender males on the floor with each team. Watch the viewers go away.
Well, you're already seeing it both in some high school and college volleyball and basketball. Nothing that reached the final or the tournament. But number one, those biological males are hurting women.
Yes.
They are physically hurting them because it is a whole other category of weight and musculature. And it has, so, I mean, one of the funniest things I saw was 2 volleyball teams playing against each other. And each of them had multiple trans
And they were like giving
biological
concussions
men.
to people with their spikes.
And their spikes were like dangerous because they are just athletically explosive.
Right.
In a different way that a woman can be.
Yeah. I admit that.
Yeah.
You'd both beat me in a race. I know.
I don't know. I think you might have a step on me, Lonaiah.
Okay, I'll beat John, not Jim. Jim won't relent.
I guess maybe
Right.
we just need to have a
yesterday
race.
I was just like, let's go, Lonaiah. Let's go
I
out
was
right
wearing-
now. Lonaiah, let's go out to the parking lot. I'm sick of this talk. Let's go out and do it right now.
You didn't have your gazelle
And-
shoes on?
Yeah, and she's like, can they rock shoes?
Well, I'm not
Anyways.
going to run in those shoes. I couldn't run in those shoes.
In your what? In your what shoes?
They were nice shoes.
What? They look like tennis shoes to me.
You
She
can't
would
run in
never
those shoes.
play tennis in those shoes.
No.
I
You
don't
would
know.
never.
I don't know what shoes she was wearing.
High
Listen.
tops.
1 Thessalonians 5, 1 through 11. But as to the suitable... verse 2. For you yourselves know perfectly well that the day of the return of the Lord will come as a thief in the night. It says unexpectedly and suddenly. When people are saying, hint, hint, all is well, secure, there is peace and safety, then in a moment, foreseen destruction, ruin, and death will come upon them as suddenly as labor pains come upon a woman with child, and they shall by no means escape. There will be, at that point, when you're left behind, there is no escape unless you lose your head because you refuse to get the mark. That will get you to heaven. But verse 4, but you are not given up to the power of darkness, brethren, Christians,
Bro.
for that day to overtake you by surprise like a thief. For you are all sons of light, sons and daughters of the day. We do not belong either to night or to darkness. He's making a point here. We're not going to be part of this. All right?
Yeah.
Accordingly, what happens after the rapture? Let us not sleep as the rest do, but let us keep a wide awake, alert, watchful, on guard. That's all we're doing here at the Final Hour Podcast. All right. Let us be sober, calm, collected, and not always calm and collected and circumspect. But for those who sleep, sleep at night. For those who are drunk, get drunk at night. Why, is that a command? No, just kidding. But we belong to the day. Therefore, let us be sober and put on the breastplate of faith and love, the hope of salvation. Here's what I wanted to get to. He's talking about the end times. He's talking about the rapture. For God has not appointed us to wrath. Mm-hmm. That's verse 9. Do you understand?
Yes.
Hint, hint. No tribulation for us. You should be afraid of nothing. Okay?
Yeah.
All right? There's nothing that we say that should scare you. There's nothing in here that is scary. All right? Verse 10. I was talking about Jesus, who died for us. So whether we're still alive or dead at Christ's appearing, we will live together with him and share his life. Therefore, encourage one another, edify, strengthen, build up one another. Right? This is not supposed to be a time to be scared.
Well,
What's
can
up,
I say
Lonaiah?
something about that? Because I have a friend who believes that you stay for the tribulation, right?
Yeah.
We don't get raptured.
Well, that just kind of throws away what he's saying, doesn't it?
No, it does. But I'm saying that I feel like a lot of people have misconceptions about
Yeah.
Revelation, and unless they listen to unless their pastor does a series like we did, or they go back and they listen to a really good scholar on it, they are going to be confused. And then you say, oh, okay, you're afraid. Well, you think those things are going to happen to you.
Right.
And because you did Revelation, like I can tell my kids, because we have this conversation at home, like, no, you're going to be gone for that.
Yeah,
This
that
is what
dude,
the
I know who
Bible
that
says.
dude is. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
No, I agree with
He
you.
doesn't. He thinks he knows, but he doesn't.
And he thinks he knows a lot of things.
And so,
you forgot to talk about the Israel trip.
yes, we are going to Israel October 6th through the 18th,
Sweet.
2024. The
Fun.
Final Hour Podcast trip to Israel. We only have 23 people on the bus right now. There is plenty, and a second bus if necessary. We can have up to 100 people here if we want, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So there's
Yes.
plenty of room to sign up. You know, the trip is $4,500 for October 6th through you will be back by the 18th. Listen, that includes round trip tickets from JFK to Tel Aviv. That means you have to pay your way from Minneapolis to JFK. All right. So $4,500 for, you're talking about 12 days, you're gone. We just ran across a church down the road, $4,500 for 7 days. Like, people are coming over from their church to go on our trip because we do 12 days for $4,500. They do 7 days.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, John.
Is there any sort of package where, it's warmer in Israel, I assume, especially in the fall? Is it going to be a little warmer there than it is is it cooler?
I think so, but I don't know.
It could be up and down. It could be hot.
Depending on where
and
we're
it can
at.
be cold.
Minnesota, basically.
Is it? Oh, is it?
In October?
So we don't need to market a package that has included pair of gym shorts and maybe like a buddy badge where you get to sit next to Jim on the bus.
Oh, how fun for you, Jim. Buddy badge.
I've got my buddy badge
That's
for this
for
morning.
our Golden Final Hour podcast listeners.
We had someone write in and they said, how come you don't have a space on your Instagram for
YouTube.
YouTube for comments and Instagram?
I don't even post on it.
And you know what? Because that's not we're not sitting down to argue with you, right? We're not sitting down to argue. And by the way, the person that wrote in the email, his name was John Doe.
That was his email account.
So he's already dead?
I can tell you, John Doe, the same reason we don't do comments on our Instagram is why you call yourself John Doe on your email.
Because
was that you, Jeremiah?
You can't sit down and have a conversation with someone who doesn't want to be recognized and known in person.
No.
Those conversations only lead to confusion and anger if you can't sit down and look someone in the eye and be like a real person with each other.
Yeah, so John Doe, you can email your straw man arguments into the podcast. There is a way to make comments.
Wait, does Jeremiah have something?
It also takes so much of our time, too, to respond to every comment, especially on complex topics like this.
Exactly.
We just had a Joe Morris reel go viral on Instagram. It's at almost 200,000 views now on the main channel. And I've spent probably
I know. Yeah.
maybe an hour and a half every day responding to comments.
Yep.
That are like asking.
What was the reel about, Jerry?
It was the Genesis 5 genealogy names.
Yeah, the first
Adam
10 from out of...
means no, God, something rest.
Wow.
Yeah.
something how man appointed to sorrow, but God coming down. I don't remember the rest of it, but yeah.
Wow.
We just have a lot of people who came in and were being intellectually dishonest and trying to argue the translation and all this other. We just can't do that every day. So.
No. And so...
No.
Oh, those people. Yeah. And so there you go, John Doe. There's your reason.
Yeah.
Same reason you call yourself John Doe on your email. And so we're going to get into the Freemasons today. We actually were listening to a 2-hour interview with a former Freemason. All right. And we went a lot of directions here to try to get this information. Unfortunately, I think John and Lonaiah's information might be better than mine. But hopefully we can put this all together. And
we're a team.
And
we are a team.
And make you understand that these people are just flat out satanic.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
And so we're going to show we on our more information. What's it called? More info
section.
In our more section, where we have all of our we have our information where we get a lot of our information, or we have things we want you to look at to go along with the video. It's a 30-minute video that we have. And I just watched the first minute and 30 seconds because I was like, Lonaiah, let's find their initiation process, right? The Freemasons. And so if this is a 30-minute video, you watched the whole thing, didn't you?
I watched the whole thing.
And you said it was very good.
It was very good. Very informative.
Really?
Yeah, it helped me understand it.
Okay.
But I've always wondered about the
Freemasons. If you don't want to get into the 30-minute video, just watch the first minute and 40 seconds. All right?
Right.
Of this video. This This is what an initiation looks like into the Freemasons. You're talking about the dude is blindfolded.
Yeah.
He's got a noose around his neck. All right. And as he's walking in, they've got the point of a sharp object. It differs. It can be a dagger. It can be the point of a compass. It can be numerous things. As he's walking in blindfolded with a noose around his neck, the rope is dragging behind him. He goes all the way up to the front, kneels before the head of the whole lodge, who is titled the Worshipful Master. All right?
Wow.
The Bible says not to call anyone master but Jesus. By the way, while he's walking in there, there's something on his chest the whole time, held to his chest. And so I just wanted you to see it. I wanted you to see what it looked like. You can go look the whole 30 minutes. I didn't look at it, but if you're going to look at anything, look at the first minute and a half. This is what their initiation ceremony looks like.
Yeah.
You tell me this isn't a cult.
Oh, it's a cult.
The noose around the neck, the rope dragging behind the guy, comes in the door, walks down the aisle, has the noose around his neck. And in witchcraft, it's called an umbilical cord, a dagger or a sharp compass to his chest, blindfolded him, kneels in front of the man, puts his hand on, it can be any book. It doesn't have to be the Bible. It can be the Quran.
Wow.
Their worshipful master, who is in charge of the lodge, who the guy kneels in front of, is supposed to be obeyed without question. And so the first thing we found out is in looking into the Freemasons, you can't be a Freemason if you're missing a body part, like a foot, finger, ear, toe, shoulder. You get my point?
Why?
I think so.
Okay. You have to be a complete person.
Yes. This particular guy we watched, it was long video.
2 hours.
He'd been raised to a master Mason. It was in his heritage. His father had been a Freemason, his grandfather, great-grandfather. It was always part of his family. And so what happens to this guy is when he's raised to a level of master Mason, he winds up in this church, and he said explicitly the Holy Spirit started to speak to him in regards to getting out. Just his that inner voice. He says, you'll have to take an oath. It is a death oath.
Yeah.
He says, do not listen to the Freemasons, how they play off. They'll tell you, we're just a good old boys club. This stuff's been around for centuries. It's just tradition. It doesn't mean anything. It all means something. And it's an oath for life. It's called a death oath. They tell you when you get into it, people on the outside don't like us because we have more knowledge.
I think they're so smart.
Yeah, they do. And don't listen to what's said about us on the outside. Occult will always tell you that. In a lot of ways, they won't allow you. If you look at Jehovah's Witness, they don't allow you to read anything.
No, you can't.
That comes against them. Isn't it interesting? All these things, Jehovah's Witness,
Mormons.
But Jehovah's Witness, they can't do anything, right?
No,
they can't listen to the radio. Can they watch TV?
Right.
No.
They can't find any other material aside from...
No, they can only use their Jehovah's Witness website to Google things about anything.
Yeah.
It's like China.
It's control. That's a cult. Okay, Freemasons will tell their converts, their members, we've got the light of this illumination, this mystery religion. We will tell you what you are supposed to know. We will tell you what you're supposed to know. This guy was saying, they tell you that the oath that you take doesn't mean anything, and he says they're absolutely lying. And really, the minute you take the oath, you're inviting a principality into your life. And he talked about at that time, it was a long time ago, it was 1969 when he was a member, you had to pay your monthly dues to be a member. At that time, it was only $10 a month. And but he said he stopped going to the meetings because he was in this church. And he talked about on the outside, just like the Mormons, just like the Jehovah's Witnesses, They point to a bunch of good works they do. That's always out there. This is what we do. This is what we do. This is what we do. They point to the things they're doing.
Yeah, this is what they call themselves. The visible society is a splendid camaraderie of free and accepted men enjoined to devote themselves to ethical education. So they want to have the highest form of education. Fraternal, they call themselves a fraternity within a fraternity. They're patriotic in their humanitarian concerns. I'll go above all else. Then they say the invisible society is a secret and most august fraternity whose members are dedicated to the service of a mysterious arcanorium, the secret of secrets. That's by Manly P. Hall, who's like the highest level of Freemasons.
Yeah.
So they're a really big fraternity that cares about humanitarian work. That's what they say. What they say.
This is really in depth. I mean, this goes back to the time of King Solomon. This goes back. Yeah. These guys have been around, and it makes you wonder if Jesus at that time was not. Some of these scriptures sounds like they're talking right to them. He's talking right to them.
Oh yeah, big time.
And but they'll always point to all the good things they're doing. And they believe they will be saved by their good works. And you know, the gospel of Jesus Christ, you're saved because you believe Christ died for you, was sacrificed for your sin, all right, and was raised from the dead. It's about what you believe. Romans 10:9. If you confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus and shall believe in thine heart that God raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. That's simple. No fine print, right? And so believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. I mean, I can give you a million of these scriptures that it's not your works in the gospel of Jesus Christ that gets you to heaven. God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son. I mean, we all know that one, right? John 3:16. You remember what it says from there? That whosoever believes in him gets everlasting life.
Right.
So whoever believes in him, it's not works. It's what you believe. Just to make that clear, I don't know what to think about this. This is an opinion, Revelation 17:5. Upon her forehead, we've talked about the whore of Babylon, was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. A lot of commentators believe and have made a doctrine or out of these mystery religions, which they define all other religions that are not Christianity is Mystery Babylon. There's no mystery in regards to the New Testament. It's very clear.
Right.
A lot of commentators believe that these mystery religions, including Catholicism, we'll get to that one week eventually.
Yeah.
Mormonism, Jehovah's Witness, Freemasonry, these commentators believe this verse of Scripture is covering these mystery religions. Listen, when you go into a Roman Catholic writing, Freemason writings, the word mystery, that same word that was upon the forehead of the spirit of the whore of Babylon, mystery is written all over Roman Catholicism. What's it called?
The Catechism.
Catechism. The word mystery is all over the Roman Catholic Catechism, but mystery. But Freemasonry, you can see mystery. So many, all over everything they do. And so many commentators believe Revelation 17:5 is covering these religions. That she is behind that. The whore of Babylon. That's a spirit. And listen, they start out by saying, we're just Masons.
Right.
But they didn't start out as just Masons. They were stonemasons. The only Masons up until the early 1700s was stonemasons. You had to be a stone cutter. From there, they changed from being only stone cutters to being Freemasons. They changed the whole program.
It's the free and
they were saying, I was watching this thing, and they're like, why did a bunch of rich men want to call themselves stonemason, which is like one of the lowest levels? They're like, for what? For what's the purpose?
Yep.
And this one person was saying that they believed because they could get away with doing other things as these people. And
well, it was interesting. You talked about Jesus, and if part of what he was saying was against this Masons and the Freemason movement. Doesn't Jesus call himself the stone that was rejected?
Yeah, there's if you're looking at it from a Freemason point of view, you're like, was he talking to these guys?
Right.
And they were there. They had been around 1,000 years.
There. Yep.
They had already been around 1,000 years at this time.
It's interesting.
And so,
I mean, one person I heard said it went all the way back to like Adam's children.
Yes.
So like,
well,
and we did talk about when we talked about, I think it's Jehovah's Witness. I listened to a guy and he's like, God already comes against every religion that's ever going to come up. So
yeah,
the more I like, obviously I helped type this sermon or this message, but the more you hear Jim come with the scriptures, you're like, how can you refute that is maybe like one of the groups he's talking to with that?
And so, you know, what it meant from here is okay, you no longer, as of 1722, anyone could join the Masons, right? You didn't have to be a stonemason. Freemasonry is steeped in witchcraft. Listen, these stonemasons, they were building the palaces, the castles of kings in the early days, and they were around very powerful people. The stonemasons, when they were stonemasons, built all these cathedrals all over Europe. They put the walls up around fortified cities. The Masons recorded a lot of their history on actual stone, so it could never be destroyed, right? And you can see that we have an image for you, and I'm hoping Jerry can get this up. This is what they call their Freemasonry pyramid. Mm-hmm. And as you climb the steps to this pyramid, you go up degrees.
So it's the first pyramid scheme.
And you can go up the York side of the pyramid, which is on the right side, or you can go up the Scottish side.
Scottish right and the York right.
And you can get to I believe you can get to the 33 degree.
Yep.
It's got 33 degrees that you climb. Under the pyramid in the archway, you've got the Eastern Star, which in essence is a satanic symbol. In the right-hand corner of this picture of their pyramid, you've got the G up on the right-hand corner, inside with the all-seeing eye. I think we have the all-seeing eye on our dollar bill, do we not?
Yes. And we have the pyramid part.
Yep.
Yeah. The all-seeing eye is a symbol that the Illuminati use. Mm-hmm. The G in the right-hand corner that surrounds the all-seeing eye represents geometry, is what they say, and that was a big part of stonemasonry.
Right.
In regard to building temples, cathedrals, geometry. They had to use geometry for fortification walls, churches. Right. Also, it's well known that the G stands for God. I personally believe geometry is a cover, but the G is standing for God, and we'll get into that.
Can I say something about the geometry thing? So you know how with Jehovah's Witness and Mormon, there was like somebody who created it, and they made up. Remember, they thought they could read the Egyptian hieroglyphics, and they thought they could translate that's
the Mormon,
Greek
the guy
alphabet.
That started Mormonism. Yes.
And I was listening, and they said the guy who founded the Freemasons, he didn't know geometry, but he pretended he did, so he made up like math, certain
equations and certain
and they
theorems.
didn't make sense. So he so all these people make up. I just thought it was hilarious.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Here's the third
founder
thing.
Of
the
Freemasons.
The third founder.
Yeah.
With you had Joseph Smith said he translated hieroglyphics.
Yeah. So he went from Egyptian.
He got a free,
and was proven to be completely wrong.
Yeah.
The other guy retranslated the Bible, the Jehovah's Witness guy,
from the Greek,
and was completely wrong. Translation went to court and proven.
Yes.
Right.
He took a guy to court for criticizing him, and now this guy, the Mason guy, again,
doesn't really know geometry, but created.
Yeah, but created a bunch of equations and things. Correct?
Yes. Yes.
And so, but when you hit a certain point in the Freemason pyramid, you become illuminized. Okay, i.e., Illuminati. Listen, just some major symbols and players. Freemasonry points their Masonic aprons. They connect to fig leaves in the garden. They have a deep connection with Nimrod. That's the guy that oversaw the building of the Tower of Babel. Tubal-Cain, Hiram of Tyre, who some Jews believe was involved in the deception that ultimately deceived Solomon. There's a lot of weird stuff that went on. I'm just now figuring this out now that we started looking into the Masons.
Right.
That went on between Hiram of Tyre and Solomon. Okay? We were reading some whack stuff yesterday.
We were.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Because Hiram sent his builders to help build the temple. Now, that's a sacred thing. We're talking about the temple of God.
Right.
Okay, check this out. All right, 1 Kings 11, verse 4. For when Solomon was old, his wives turned, well, no, we're not there yet. His wives turned away his heart after other gods.
Right.
And his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, and was the heart, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Sidonians. Keep in mind, that's
talked
Tyre.
about her.
That's Tyre. Okay. And Milcom, the abominable idol of the Ammonites. Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord and not fully after the Lord. Went not fully after the Lord after David his father did. Solomon built up a high place for Chemosh, the abominable idol of Moab, on the hill opposite Jerusalem, and Molech.
Wow.
Molech, the baby killer.
He went after him, huh?
This is Solomon. Many old time adversaries. You had Hayden the Edomite, Jeroboam, Rezin, a leader of a huge band of outlaws, comes into the picture. He had a kingdom in Syria.
Yep.
Jeroboam wound up with half of Solomon's country. He wound up in northern Israel. So this is what cost. It didn't cost Solomon. Actually, if you read Ecclesiastes, it cost him quite a bit. He was, but it cost
Lamentations.
It cost Solomon's children is what it cost. And all that to say, how does someone that had 2 personal visitations with God?
Yeah.
God appears to him and says, "What do you want? I'll give you whatever you want." Then appears to him again. And you know what that shows you? Just a little snapshot within what we're trying to do. It's not all about signs and wonders. Mm-hmm. It's not about miracles.
Yep.
You still fall. Mm-hmm. You still fall. I mean, wouldn't we like to think that if God actually appeared to us twice,
he would never be shaken ever again.
And one of those times says, "I'll give you whatever you want." And look at Solomon by the end. And so
my daughter was saying that C.S. Lewis wrote a book about miracles, and she's like, it explains in detail about that, like why people feel like they need to see something. Like, oh, when I see it, then I'll believe it and I'll get it. But they're like, I don't know. So if you want to read more about that, she said I should read the book. So I'm telling you guys, you should read the book because he's one of her favorite authors.
C.S. Lewis is
phenomenal.
He's awesome.
You have to stay in the Word, whether if it's listening, reading. Lonaiah I was like suddenly out of nowhere, Lonaiah just, Lonaiah is like
this personal.
No, she has these amazing ideas every day.
Yeah,
for like the past month, like. She comes up with the idea. It gets
approved.
It gets implemented.
Yeah.
Idea after idea after idea, and you're kind of like looking at this after like idea number 5. Like, where's this all of a sudden coming from? And we just did a video for the volunteer appreciation night. Lonaiah's idea.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying. And so I was like, I was kind of all prideful. Because I was thinking,
Jim likes to take credit.
One day I was thinking to myself in the car, I was like, man, Lonaiah, she's got some wisdom.
Yeah.
I mean, people like consult her in the ministry. Honestly, we had a guy that just retired that ran the whole ministry. He wouldn't make a move without talking to Lonaiah 8 out of 10 times.
Love it.
He'd get a meeting with Lonaiah. And so he saw that wisdom, right? And so I was like, suddenly I was like, I guess, she's been praying for wisdom. The Bible says pray for wisdom, right? And I thought, I don't think Lonaiah's praying for wisdom.
She's not going to waste her time.
She's got a lot
He throws
to worry
up like
about.
5-second prayers.
I said, but I pray for Lonaiah. That's like my big ask, right?
Yeah.
And so I add you guys in.
Yeah, John,
Thank you.
the other night, Jim calls and he's like, hey, I just want you to know that I was praying this over myself. And I was like, I should pray this over John
Yeah.
Lonaiah too. So I just want you to know that I'm adding you
Appreciate
and John
it.
into that. I was like, thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
But okay. But the wisdom I've always prayed for you to have, and so I was kind of taking credit. Well, I know Lonaiah doesn't probably pray for wisdom, so maybe my prayers are
Thank you,
being
Lord.
answered. And you know what Lonaiah looked me in the eye and said? She said, no, I've read my Bible every day for a year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't miss a day. I wasn't being prideful. I was just
High
saying,
five.
like,
Yeah, so she's like, that's where the wisdom's coming from, buddy.
yeah.
And by the way, I ask every day. And so that, isn't that funny? Like that came
Yeah.
Jim
out.
was like taking credit, like, yeah, right.
I was kind of like,
My
my
prayers
prayers got her that wisdom. But look,
And he's like, you read your Bible?
and so stay in the Word. It'll do so much for you. It's not about the miracles that keeps you grounded.
Yeah.
That is not your foundation. That will not be a foundation. But all these people that Hiram of Tyre, many scholars believe was the one that caused Solomon to start his fall. I had never heard this, but none of these guys, that the Freemasons love, Tubal-Cain, Nimrod,
Yep.
Hiram of Tyre, they didn't follow God.
Nope.
All these guys were enemies of God.
Weren't those? But
Tubal-Cain was the first guy to take more than one wife. We think the first guy
Yeah.
to make a deal with the Nephilim.
yes.
Right.
They married his daughter off to the Nephilim. They mentioned Tubal-Cain in their apprentice degree.
Yeah.
Right?
The
And,
Freemasons.
The Freemasons. The Freemasons claimed that Tubal-Cain was the first expert in crafting metal. A lot of other things. He got a bunch of other things out of nowhere that changed society,
Yep.
and we believe it's because he gave his daughter, married his daughter off to a fallen angel. We got a whole episode on it.
to
Yes.
acquire the knowledge
Yes.
of metalworking.
It was a deal.
Yeah.
Oh, they also found out incredible things about breeding animals
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
and about farming, I believe.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so listen, the Freemason, we have a whole thing on the Nephilim. Look at our episodes on the Nephilim, all right? And so
Yeah.
the Freemasons have a lodge room with an altar. Their lodge room, when I say lodge from here on out, it's kind of like their church, right? Their sanctuary. And they have some type of holy book. This is a mystery religion. They will say that they're not. But you got yourself a lodge room with an altar, a holy book. You're going to kneel at the altar, and you're in some kind of religion. They tell you that it's not, just like the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witness. Oh,
Right.
well, we're Christians. Oh, that's not true. That's not true. What they're saying is not true.
Correct.
They sound like Joe Biden.
Right.
Right. Just,
Well, I think I don't want to say too much, but after watching this thing and listening to it about the Freemasons, their ultimate goal is one world order, one world religion, and one world currency to eventually rule the world, usher in the Antichrist, and bring in the mark of the beast. And their slogan is the New World Order. And wasn't that Joe Biden's slogan for his 2020 run? It was like, we're going to have a new world order. I felt like he kept saying that.
close. It was something close to that.
But I read that there was 15 United States presidents who are supposedly in Freemasons, right? I'm just saying supposedly. And right now there's currently 857,000 members in the United States of Freemasons.
Well, I think you sent me that quote.
Yes.
And you were like, that sounds really, really similar to the aims and the goals of the World Economic Forum.
Yes.
I
of
completely
one world
agree.
order, one world religion, one world currency.
Yeah.
One world everything.
Yep.
And so the Freemasons will tell you, oh, we're not a religion. But here we are kneeling in an altar and in front of the grand
Master.
the master worship, whatever they are. They twist their words. They say, hey, we're not a religion, but we're religious. They say we're not a secret organization, but we have
But we
secrets.
do have secrets.
So you hear these twisted words, and the Freemasons will tell you they use these words. We are not creed bound, but see
Interesting though.
the Christian is creed bound. You are bound to this.
Yep.
Okay? You're bound, and we are bound by the doctrines of the Bible. But a Freemason will tell you they're not creed bound. And I'm hoping Jerry will see this little apron. He'll be able to put up an image of their apron, which is in our more info section. You can find it in our more info section.
Can I say something about the apron because you don't have it in there?
Yes.
So the apron is made from a lamb skin, and they believe that this is symbolic because it is an emblem of innocence and a symbol of sacrifice. But isn't it interesting that it's a lamb skin, like Jesus was the Lamb of God, right? So here they are mocking and like twisting in their little Bible things. Like we do these same things.
They borrow some imagery from Christianity, which has truth in it, and then they just twist it into their own.
They borrow Bible things because I was on the Freemasons Instagram site last night, which is actually, it was like sad and funny at the same time.
Yeah.
But they had Bible verses, and then in the end, they like just twisted it just a little. And I watched kids like 10 years old, 9 years old, like swearing into Freemasonry in a church. It's wild.
A family thing in a lot of families, and you'll see that on our second Freemason image. You see this apron on the left-hand side of that image. If you look carefully on their apron, this kind of gets into a fertility thing, and we don't have time to get into this, but I've heard some cult experts, they call these cults, and Freemasons, one of them, a fertility cult. All right, and you cannot deal with Freemason, Mormonism, Catholicism without getting into the fertility cult stuff.
Yeah.
Right above, in the middle of the apron, you have the all-seeing eye. And just to the left, you have a sun. And it really comes down to it. Freemasonry is the worship of the sun. It's a form of Baal worship. You know, Baal worship had a lot to do with the sun. On the opposite side of the sun, on the right side of the apron, you have a crescent moon. That represents a female goddess. Think about this. The Bible touches on this a little bit. You've got something similar going on here. Jeremiah 44:16. As for the word that you have spoken to us in the name of the Lord, these are the Israelites talking to God.
Yeah.
We will not listen or obey you. We will certainly perform every word of the vows we have made to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven, to pour out drink offerings to her as we have done. We and our fathers, our kings, our princes in the cities of Judah and the streets of Jerusalem. And then we had plenty of food and were well off and prosperous and saw no evil. But since we stopped burning incense to the Queen of Heaven and pouring out drink offerings to her, we have lacked everything and have been consumed by the sword and by famine.
Wow.
And the wives said, when we burned incense to the Queen of Heaven and poured out drink offerings to her, worshiping her in essence, did we make cakes in the shape of a star?
Wow.
To represent and honor her, pour out drink offerings to her without the knowledge. You'll hear about that, the star here later, the knowledge of approval of our husbands. Then Jeremiah said to all these people, to the men and women and all the people who had given him that answer, the incense that you burned in the cities of Judah and the streets of Jerusalem, you and your fathers and your kings and your princes and the people of the land, did not the Lord remember your idolatrous wickedness and did not come into his mind? In other words, you're not doing well because of your idolatry.
Right.
And the Lord could no longer endure the evil of your doings and the abominations which you committed.
Yeah.
Because of them, therefore, as your land became a desolate, because of those idols, an astonishing waste and curse, because you burned incense, because you have sinned against the Lord, not obeyed his voice. I don't want to. Verse 24, Jeremiah said to all the people, including all the women, hear the word of the Lord, all of you, Judah, who are in the land of Egypt. Thus says the Lord, you and your wives have both declared with your mouths and fulfilled it with your hands. We will surely perform our vows that we have vowed to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven and to pour out our drink offerings to her. Perform your vows then, he says.
Go for it.
Hear the word of the Lord, all of you, Judah, who dwell in the land of Egypt. Behold, I have sworn by my great name, says the Lord, My name shall no more be invoked by the mouth of any man of Judah in the land of Egypt, says the Lord. I am watching over them for evil and not for good. All the men of Judah who are in the land of Egypt shall be consumed by the sword, by famine, until there is an end of them, and they are destroyed. So what are we talking about? We're talking about a male and female deity. Okay? And they were worshiping the crescent moon side, the female side. The crescent moon is a symbol on that apron that represents the female uterus. And the sun worship represents the male.
Yeah.
They're on each side of the apron. And they get together and they have relations. They produce a male entity, the female goddess, the male god. They produce what? Mother Earth.
Can you imagine going to a meeting and putting an apron on and wearing it?
They produce Mother Earth.
I can't.
That's where you get mother, the term Mother Earth.
Yeah.
Look at the apron. And hopefully Jerry can get that up. So you see do you see on the apron the black and white checkered floor? This represents a lodge on their apron. This is a balance of bad and good, or good and evil.
Yep.
The Masons, they built walls, they built fortresses, they built temples, cathedrals, the Tower of Babel, they built pyramids. So they were involved in building Solomon's temple. 1 Kings 5, verses 1 through 18. Hiram of Tyre. Let's get back to him.
Yeah.
Listen to this. Verse 17 and 18. The king commanded that they brought great stones, costly stones, huge stones to lay the foundation of the house. Solomon's builders and Hiram's builders did hew them, the stone quarrers. So they prepared timber and stones to build the house. Many commentators are saying, if you read this whole chapter, 1 Kings 5, that they made a covenant, Hiram and Solomon. I cannot find anywhere where it says they actually made a covenant, but a lot of the scholars believe, if you read the chapter carefully, that they got together and they got very, very close. 1 Kings 5:6, therefore command you that they hew me cedar trees out of Lebanon. My servants shall be thy servants, and unto thee will I give hire for thy servants according to all that thou shalt appoint. For thou knowest that there is none among us that any can skill to hew timber like unto the Sidonians. That's Tyre.
Yeah.
The Sidonians. Okay, this is the chapter where Solomon gets with the king of Tyre, who he's Sidonian now. All right. You know who else was Sidonian?
Hiram of Tyre.
And Jezebel.
And
was a Sidonian princess. Okay, these are the people Solomon is dealing with here. These are the people that are helping build God's temple. Heavily involved. This whole chapter is about 1 Kings 5 is about Solomon and Hiram of Tyre. And you see Hiram's builders and Solomon's builders. They were stonemasons, stones cutters. In fact, most scholars believe, and the Jews even believe, that Solomon cut a covenant with Hiram. And that's probably the beginning of the downfall. Forget about his 700 wives and 300 concubines.
It didn't help.
Which I can't even begin to wrap my head around that.
Boy, that just seems like
excessive.
A bad day.
For who? The women or Solomon?
I think everybody involved, I think, is not going
of course
to enjoy that. No, I look, I love my wife. I love my wife.
Well, he probably had his favorites too.
I mean, we were talking. Well, I'm sure. Yeah,
his top 50.
But
I don't know, maybe.
it's tough enough to maintain your marriage as it is. Try to have.
But in
700.
But in that time, the women weren't allowed. He had to call for them, so they couldn't just like come in and say, "I want to talk to you." Like, "Hey, honey, how's it going?" That wasn't allowed. He had to like call for them and say, "I'm coming to visit you," or like bring her and I want to see her. It wasn't like how our
so if there's 1,700 of them, I'll see you once every 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, that's just never mind.
Yeah.
It's very clear.
I'm just saying.
But the Bible, it's clear. You can't make a covenant. The Israelites were not allowed to make a covenant with any of these guys outside of the Jews.
Right.
And there are many scholars in looking at this, they think Solomon cut a covenant with Hiram. And if you read between the lines, a lot of people think that a lot of people don't think Solomon wound up in heaven.
Well, if he believed in their gods and was worshiping them, then how did he? Unless God visited him right before he died. Because didn't you say he was worshiping Ashtoreth and Molech? And aren't they the god of like sexual desire and all that? So that explains all his wives.
He built idols
all over the countryside there
for all these gods.
Yeah.
And so he was responsible. I don't know if he was worshiping them, but Solomon gets cozy.
But why are you going to build them if you're not?
He was making room for him in Israel. That's the biggest problem.
He gets cozy with Hiram, king of the Sidonians. But within 5 chapters, Solomon had lost his kingdom for his son. Jeez. And you had all these guys show up. He was riding high. He had nothing. And all of a sudden we got, as soon as that went down, 3 enemies. 3 enemies pop out.
Yeah.
Right? Hiram of Tyre was that Tyre, or the Sidonians, were the seat of Baal worship. Remember Jezebel had 450 Baal prophets? Jezebel, who came later, married Ahab, brought 100% Baal worship into northern Israel, killed hundreds of prophets.
Yeah.
Freemasonry, they say it's about a search for light and a secret word, but it's always another level of pagan rituals that involves more money and more control. You earn
secret words.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember George Bush's speech about 1,000 points of light? There's some people that equate that to he was using some Freemasonry language.
I have read about some recent presidents who they believe are Freemasons.
He was.
And
I believe he was. He was part
movie,
of the Bohemian Grove people. And
what's the problem?
Sometimes we can't hear you.
I feel like I'm so loud.
You're pulling in and out today.
Don't.
You know what? Let Jeremiah worry about whether you're loud or not. No, you.
Oh, okay.
You got to talk into the microphone.
Am I okay, Jerry? He says I'm good.
You
never
do that. I don't know why you're doing that today.
Okay. All right.
Let's all give him a thumbs up on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
That's a solid response.
So, Freemasonry, they say, is about a search for light. And they have these secret words. It's all another level of pagan rituals that involves more money, more control. When you earn your first degree Mason, they give you a secret word.
Oh, my gosh. That is so dumb. That's like first grade stuff. It is. It is like first grade stuff. Like, you can be in our group, but this is a word we're going to say. Or knock on the door, and that's what you have to say to get in. It is. It's like little kid stuff. But I was listening to this guy, and he was saying, like, Masonry is basically like the Boy Scout. So it's like Cub Scout.
Kind of, yeah.
Boy Scout, and then Eagle Scout. And then, like, the levels above that are a little more like you just, badges. They're merit badges. Yeah.
I heard the same guy.
Just
you probably sent it to me.
But you get something called an apprentice degree. They give you another secret word.
Wow.
And then you get up to the Master Mason. They give you 2 secret words.
Wow, you're trusted with so much more there.
So many words.
And what they're telling you in all this is eventually you search for light. They're searching for the name of God.
Oh, they already give it to him.
The name of God? I heard that they believe that man is trying to become God.
That is one of their writings.
Yeah.
I think that one's from Albert Pike.
Yes, I know.
It's
Albert
like the
Pike.
Mormons. Remember Joseph Smith was accused of being a Freemason?
Yeah.
And he said, I know, we're a lot like them.
Yeah.
We read.
Well, doesn't that make me think now?
They're looking for a true name of God that the Bible does not give.
Well, because, it's a secret.
And within all this is wrapped up, you have a bunch of pagan rituals. Listen, Jesus Christ, there is no secret, right? You just have to take it back. If you just take it back to Jesus, all of this.
Yeah, definitely.
It kind of exposes it.
For sure.
Jesus is the name above all names. The name of Jesus is not used in their rituals.
No.
Something they call the rituals of the Blue Lodge. To be a Freemason, you have to believe in a God. It's not publicly specified which God it is. And there are many, many Satanists, straight up Satanists in the Lodge of Freemasons. Philippians 2:9-11, wherefore God has highly exalted him, given him a name above every name. That name is Jesus. The name is Jesus. There is no secret name of God. Okay? And at the name of Jesus, every knee should bow, of things in heaven, things in earth, things under the earth. Every tongue should confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. And every single one of these guys, who I do not believe are Christians,
the Freemasons,
they'll be there.
Not.
They'll be there on the great white throne judgment. The bottom line is, through the Freemasons, you are joining a very secret community.
Yeah.
That promises you light.
Yep.
And there are more, 33 or 32 degree Masons?
33 is the highest level.
Some of them have been saved, and they got out of it. And you can find them.
Yes.
And you can find out what they're saying.
Right.
There's one of the secret words, Mahabone, MA-HA-bone, used to be a secret word until a dude got out. One of their top dudes got out and wrote a book. The book's titled Mahabone.
Mahabone.
But you have to whisper the word in someone's ear.
Yes, they have to whisper Mahabone. And I was
you're grown men and you're whispering that dumb word in someone's ear. It has to mean something in, obviously, the satanic realm.
But I was listening to a pastor testify about this high-ranking Freemason that had gotten out of it, right? And he had gotten out of Freemasonry. And so he's talking to this pastor.
Yeah.
And this high-ranking ex-Freemason would not speak the word. Still was afraid.
Well, they've made their oaths to their, sworn to their death. And
I thought he said he wasn't afraid to speak. He just promised God he wouldn't say it again.
Oh.
The guy. I thought
No. He was afraid to say it. And it scared him anytime the pastor was like, I can say it.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean Mahabone?
Well, do you know why they're afraid? Do you know why they're afraid?
Why?
Because they said that if you got out and you were sharing it, that they could kill you, right? So, like they say sometimes there's some mysterious murders that happen.
Well, their initiate oath.
Yes,
says
but they're saying if you're around somebody and you think they're Freemason, you start exposing their secrets or their demonic sides, then you wind up dying or being killed or committing suicide.
Clinton.
Yes. Killeried.
Yeah, you could be killeried or...
Yeah.
Bill and Killeried.
Yep.
We say that in all seriousness.
We do.
Albert McKay, who was a famous Freemason, we Googled him. His grave is very interesting. Google his grave and tell me he's not a Freemason. Albert McKay, the name of Jesus, this is quoting Albert McKay, Mackey, could be Mackey. The name of Jesus is removed slightly, but necessarily is the name of Jesus removed from Freemasonry.
That sounds like the Jehovah's Witnesses.
The name of Jesus is removed slightly. But necessarily.
Because they know that name has power.
Well, I think
that's why.
There's so many. I just looked at your notes, so I'm not going to take what I was just going to say because it was.
John looked at the notes. Let's take a moment and celebrate that.
Lonaiah thinks she's
I'm ready.
Funny.
You laughed, Jim.
No, because the reason I laughed is because
I was so confident.
I didn't know when it was coming.
It was a zing.
Zing.
It was John. It was John. How he looked when you said that.
Okay, you guys, because we type these up and we send them out to everybody.
The name of Jesus.
But you sent it to me an hour ago.
Okay, even if I would sent you last night, would you have looked at it, John?
Yes.
Oh, okay, John.
That's been possible. You've been in here an hour. But listen.
That's exactly when I sent it.
That's exactly when.
The name of listen, that's about when we finish this.
Yeah.
But the name of Jesus is removed from Freemasonry, and it's not used in their oaths and vows that they take.
But why?
And we just quoted one of their guys. The name of Jesus is removed slightly, but necessarily. So
Slightly.
any Mason, ex-Mason that is now in the church will tell you that Freemasonry is any ex-Mason. It's demonic.
Yes. Yes.
That's one thing they all say. Is it's demonic, and you're dealing straight up with Satan. There's another word they have called Jabul-on, JAH-BUL-on. The Jah stands for Jehovah, BUL stands for Baal, and On was the Egyptian religion.
Wow.
Jabul-on.
It was
Joseph's father-in-law was a high priest of the religion On.
Oh.
Jabulon.
Joseph.
Jabulon. So Joseph, in Genesis, that Joseph. Did you know Joseph was in Genesis?
one of
Yes,
the
he had
sons
two
of
sons with the his Egyptian wife. 2 sons.
Joseph used to wear makeup.
I think he did till he died. I mean,
it shades
It
from the
enhanced his
sun.
eyes.
Absolutely. I saw the movie.
I saw the play.
You saw
And Donny Osmond winked at me. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
I was like 10. I was 10.
Okay, so
It was a moment.
they
Changed Lonaiah's life.
They combine these 3 words. In the higher degrees, 3 different men have to come together, and this word cannot be spoken anywhere, but in that specific lodge with 3 guys.
Wow, 3 guys like
dancing
the father,
around
the
in a
son.
circle. One says Jah, the other one says Bull, and the other one says On.
I don't remember typing that. That's actually funny.
This is paganism.
They're grown. Imagine if you 3 were dancing.
Jabulon.
But look, 3 guys.
Yep.
They're just mocking the Holy Trinity.
You can see in Jeremiah, there's a situation where the Israelites were saying, hey, we're free to go to the temple and we can worship Baal and Jehovah.
Wow.
That's where we're going here.
Yeah.
So think about this. Jabulon, this ex-Freemason, is telling us what it means, who it represents, and they're honoring multiple gods here. Listen, if you're a Freemason and you're watching this, I know that God has already been speaking to you. You can renounce your
Yes,
vows.
Yeah.
You can. The name of Jesus has that kind of power. The blood of Jesus has that kind of power.
Absolutely.
And he wants you to come to him,
Listen,
obviously.
Isaiah 45:19, I have not spoken in secret in a dark place of the earth. I said not unto the seed of Jacob, seek ye me in vain. I, the Lord, speak righteousness. I declare things that are right. Okay, so God doesn't speak in secret. It's real clear with God. We're not meeting in back rooms, okay?
Right.
Or in the middle of the night,
and get
or
secret
in the
words
woods.
with different words, and you go to another level and you get another word. And John 18:20, Jesus answered him and said, I spake openly to the world. I ever taught in the synagogue. I was at church. I was in front of people. I was in the temple.
Yeah.
Where the Jews always result. And in secret have I said nothing. Jesus said, I say nothing in secret. This is the Freemason's secret. Secret things, secret words.
Right.
Secret handshakes.
Secret rooms. There are some Freemasons that will tell you Jesus was a Freemason.
Of course.
But because he was a carpenter, right? But here he says
Or
everything.
a stone worker.
But here he says,
Spend some.
He was good at geometry, huh?
he said, everything I had to say, I said it in church. That's what I'm paraphrasing this.
Yeah.
John 18:20.
Yeah.
You went to church. I've said nothing in secret. 2 Timothy 4:3-4. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers, having itching ears. They shall turn away their ears from the truth, and they shall be turned unto fables.
Well, I hope they both have both their ears, or they won't be allowed to be a Freemason.
Wow.
Goodness.
Are you asking God for wittiness too?
I already
She said
me
that was at birth.
that was how I came out. Just funny.
Luke 11:35. Take heed therefore that the light which is in thee be not darkness. If you join the Freemason Lodge and you go to your little ceremony where they blindfold you, you're risking a spirit that will get a hold of you. All right? When you take off that blindfold, you will be deceived.
But imagine
something will come on you.
They tie something around your neck.
Like a noose.
I know, but like imagine how just that.
Yeah.
Like if anyone's that just stresses me out, just the thought of that. And then blindfold you and lead you and you have to knock 3 times at the door before you get in.
Listen,
and then they lead you around like you feel a poke. Like just think about that. Like that's
really
crazy.
Really, look what we just read. Take heed therefore that the light which is in thee be not darkness. Right? So there's a dark light that he's referring to. This is very interesting. Remember the testimony I was giving you of the pastor talking to the guy who had come out of the Freemasons, but he had a lot of fear.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't say the word Mahabone because he was so afraid. He was so gripped by fear of saying a word. This is the deception with a lot of secretism. According to this Reformed Freemason, the secret word of a Master Mason has to be said at low breath. It's something called the 5 points of fellowship. In someone's ear. Low breath.
Okay, when you talked about the you're not talking about that yet. Just the 5 points of fellowship is like too much. I could never be a Freemason. They're in each other's space way too much. Like, do you know how annoying it is when someone whispers in your ear? Anyways, their hot breath on your ear. It's just gross.
What was that place we were looking for that had gone out of business?
Oh, Long John Silver's.
Long John Silver.
We thought John a couple weeks ago got Long John Silver's.
No.
Yeah.
I would never eat fish from...
Thank you.
I said something about Long John Silver's, but I would never eat there.
Okay, same.
Well,
Jim was
not since the 80s.
We were trying to find it.
Yeah. It's only in Bloomington.
It really well.
There's only one
it was in Maple Grove up to about 2-3 years ago.
I know.
There's only one Long John Silver's left.
There can be only one,
and it's in Bloomington.
Go somewhere where they actually catch cod, and then it would be enjoyable.
Well, like Culver's doesn't catch cod, but they sell it.
They have good fish sandwiches.
Did you know that McDonald's
I am
started?
a fish sandwich connoisseur.
He's a connoisseur of fish sandwiches. What's better?
Test him. He will give you a rating.
Okay, what's better, McDonald's or Culver's?
Oh, that's close.
Because you know that the McDonald's started because of the Catholics and Lent.
Wow.
That's why they created the
those
fish
sandwiches are very different, but they're close. Culver's actually has a walleye fish sandwich that I was quite disappointed in.
Oh, really?
Anyways, if you go to Culver's, get the regular fish sandwich. Don't get the
you want the cod, the white fish, not the walleye.
Yes, but
especially as a Minnesotan, you want fresh walleye anyway. You don't want it out of a
think
factory.
that Culver's is getting it out of Lake Minnetonka?
That's what I'm saying.
It wasn't very good. Think about Jesus.
Minnetonka walleye is not edible.
I was just saying. Oh, really? Yeah. There's a lot of people that fish that lake.
Yeah, well, they've got a lot of junk in that water.
Yeah, they do have a lot of junk in that water, I know.
Think about Jesus. What did we just read? That which you have spoken in the ear of closets. I wonder if he's talking about these guys. They have secret rooms. They have secret orders.
The ear of closets.
Did we read it spoken in the ear of closet? Maybe that's another translation.
I don't know, but it sounds awesome.
Spoken in the ear of closet in the earring. I wonder if he's talking to these guys that they have secret rooms. They have secret orders.
But think
in the year 1722, the Freemasons made it so that you no longer had to be a stonemason. Okay? And so, but you became free. It's called a free and accepted Mason. In other words,
because they accept everybody.
We were looking at videos.
It's a brotherhood.
John was showing me a video right before we came in here where this guy was talking. He was like, look, most of these 1, 2, and 3 level Mason guys, most of the guys in Freemasonry don't know a lot of this stuff. Isn't it interesting? A lot of like the Mormons.
Yeah.
Jehovah's
They don't
Witnesses.
even know about those guys.
Yeah.
Right. And so anyone could be a Freemason at that point. And but here's the thing about the Freemasons. They're very clear. We don't tell our first 3 degrees.
Right.
Well, why would you? You're trying to get
Everything.
them to go deeper and deeper in the cult.
Right. And so, listen, so it's 1722. Anyone could join. So what happens is that at this point, you had a lot of powerful criminals come in. If you want to really go get into this, because it's very complicated, there's a man named William Schombolin.
Billy.
I don't think that's how we.
Jim, it's okay. It's connected to the. You don't need to spell it. It's on there.
He wrote a book. He wrote a book, and I don't think that's what it's called, but we have.
It was a long morning. Okay.
A book about Masonry.
Look, this is one of their writings, like we've been doing with the Jehovah's Witness, the Mormons. This is titled "The Worshipful Master of Keystone Lodge Number 639 in Chicago, Illinois." This is their words. Masonry and Baal worship are identical.
Yeah.
Reviewing the similarity between Masonry and Romanism and the mysteries and comparing the whole Bible.
Yeah.
Wow.
These are their words.
Yep.
Okay? Look at those words. Masonry and Baal worship are identical. Then he says we're going to review something. Masonry, Romanism, the mysteries, and comparing the whole with the Bible. This is a guy that got out of the Freemasons, another Freemason, worshipful master, quoting, "As the sun rises in the east to rule over the day, so rises the worshipful master in the east to rule over the lodge."
Worshipful master.
That's like their pastor.
Why do they all have dumb names?
I don't know.
They love the titles.
You liked the titles from...
Well, they're just funny. But speaking of, we Googled their like robes and their...
Yeah.
It's like...
Can you get them on Amazon?
No, you cannot.
Oh, bummer.
You can't get it unless you write into them and you become a Mason. You got to go on the Blue Lodge is like the first base level. But you know what their outfits kind of reminded me of? I was telling John and Jim this. When you watch the Crown do their like special ceremonies for things,
yeah.
they look just like that stuff. It's just very interesting.
I'm feeling there's some ancient orders that might share different members and
Well, I think we read that, right? That
rituals.
there's like 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just saying. They think they're the smartest group of people, and look at the World Economic Forum. So do they. And who's connected with them? Well, just look.
Okay.
The
We
worship,
have.
We have. We're just connecting dots.
the worshipful master is considered the head of like any particular lodge. Remember, Matthew 23:10 says that none of you should be called masters. For one is your master, that's Jesus Christ. And so they call this guy that's the head of the lodge, each lodge, a worshipful master. I'll tell you what's interesting about this. I would suggest that you didn't pull up any rituals or services or initiations into the Church of Satan, but the video we showed you that you can view on our info, is it more info?
Mm-hmm. It's just a
section,
little like...
It shows
Jim's
all the
codfish.
shows all the articles. This is very similar what you're looking at to that you to an initiation to the Church of Satan.
Yeah.
The initiation to the Freemasons is very, very similar to initiation into the Church of Satan. And we know Jesus says in John 8:12, "I am the light of the world. Who follows me shall not walk in darkness, but have the light of life." And the Masons are looking for a different kind of light here, because it's very clear what our light is. There's no secret light out there. The book written by the guy named Mackey, out of something called the Manual of the Lodge, one of their writings says, "There he stands with our portals on the threshold of a new Masonic life, in darkness, helplessness, and ignorance." Mackey's describing a minister of the gospel coming to join the Freemasons. There he stands, right?
Yeah.
There he stands on the portal, on the threshold of a new Masonic life, in darkness, helplessness, and ignorance. So they're saying
They call it a portal.
they have special portals, and this minister, before he got in with the Masons, was standing in darkness, helplessness, and ignorance. Still in this Masonic writing out of the book we described earlier, this guy named Mackey who's outing them. This writing is describing this minister before coming to Freemasons, quoting his book, having been wandering amid the errors and covering over the pollutions with the outer profane world. He comes inquiringly into our door, seeking a new birth. This is a minister now.
Yeah.
So they have a new birth. Okay? And these guys are going to tell you this is not religious, right? Still quoting out of their writings and asking a withdrawal of the veil, which conceals divine truth from his uninitiated sight. Think about this. The words we just read, their writings, when someone comes into them inquiring to be a Mason, as was in the case of this minister, these words are describing he is seeking a new birth, asking a withdrawal of the veil. Still quoting, would that be the same veil that was ripped in the Holy of Holies at the death of Jesus?
I think so.
This is verging on blasphemy.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
They're saying you need a Freemason to remove the veil that's already been removed, according to the Bible, been ripped.
So they're like Joseph Smith, where they're going to help judge.
You guys
Judge
don't,
us
but
at the
but
throne
know this.
judgment.
But in the South, there are a lot of Baptist and Pentecostal pastors that are Freemasons, and it sounds like you're mixing a little something in there.
Yeah.
With Jesus Christ.
Maybe Jesus is slightly removed.
Slightly diminished.
Slightly.
The Hebrews were doing it.
Yeah.
In essence,
Yeah, they were worshiping Jesus and.
Yeah, the book of Hebrews is the Jewish Christians who had grown up under the law, right? These guys are saying without them, without the Freemasons, you are not enlightened. That you need, with them, there's another birth. It reminds me, like I said, of Hebrews. Gives me a chance to go into this because the Jews were saying, people don't understand Hebrews. All right, they take it completely out of context.
Yeah.
The Hebrews were saying, that Hebrew church was saying, well, we'll take Jesus, but we're still gonna sacrifice animals,
Right.
and that'll make sure that we're taken care of.
Yeah. Making sure.
So we're going to have a combination, and this is what these writings are to these people. Ooh,
Did I put the wrong one in?
yes.
Well, that's what was told to me.
No. Okay.
Hebrews 11:26.
That's not 29:30, but that's okay because it was a morning, like you said.
Starting with my car battery being dead.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's too bad.
Yep.
You're here, though.
I came. Thankfully, my children have a car.
That helps.
Wow.
I'll say, though, we've been talking about Albert Pike, and
Yeah.
we're talking about...
We haven't got too much into him, but
listen, people, listen how these preachers do this. They're writing to Hebrews, and they're telling us, Paul's saying, stop sacrificing animals. Jesus Christ is enough. And if you're going to think that you're going to sacrifice animals and still walk into this new covenant, this is what happens. For if you sin willfully, what it's talking about is not all these little sins, and you do all these sins that you're doing. After that, we have received the knowledge of the truth. There remaineth no more sacrifice for sins. People take that, not understanding the context of Hebrews, and they hammer people with that.
Right.
They hammer people with that. In other words, if you sin willfully, you're going to hell. That's not what it means. It's talking about if you're going to sacrifice animals, Hebrews 11:26, and believe Jesus is still, take him as a savior, then really you're not saved. Is what that's saying. It goes on to say on verse 29, these people, how much sore punishment suppose shall he be thought worthy, who hath trodden under the foot the Son of God, and hath counted the blood of the covenant wherewith he was sanctified an unholy thing, and hath done despite unto the Spirit of grace. And so he's like, you're trampling the blood of Jesus under your feet.
And saying it wasn't enough.
Because you're taking something else. This is my point. besides Jesus. Okay? Kind of like the Mormons in the Book of Mormon.
Right.
And you're bringing that in. And this is what this means. Verse 26, for if we sin willfully after we've received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins. That is not talking about your everyday life.
Yeah.
Okay? And if you think it is, you're going to be under a lot of condemnation. If you fear, you sin. If you worry, you're sin. Any unbelief is sin. Doubt is sin. The Bible says anything not done out of faith is a sin. You're sinning all the time. And so the fact that the Masons think that everyone but them, including Christians, is veiled from the truth. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
And it takes Freemasonry to remove the veil. It's just like the Jews saying, for total salvation, we're going to sacrifice animals.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
We're going to add a little bit into that. It's an insult to God. And the initiation, the person being initiated, they have to walk in blindfolded with a noose around their neck, either the point of a sharp compass or blade touching their chest. They kneel at the altar to the worshipful master. And after he has kissed the Bible or the Quran, he is asked by the worshipful master, ask him in your present condition, what do you desire? You know what he has to say? My desire is light.
Wow.
Now, they don't, you know, they can kiss any holy book here.
Yeah.
In fact, one ex-Freemason is quoted as saying, when he kissed the Bible in that initiation, he didn't realize at that time he was kissing the Bible goodbye.
Interesting.
At that point, they take the blindfold off the initiate. The worshipful master says, we hold the brother to a stronger tie. There's a tie here.
It's stronger than what the Word of God gives us.
And they say, just like the Mormons,
Tie
Jehovah's
to the
Witnesses,
devil
oh,
forever.
that's not true. This doesn't mean anything. This is just
They downplay
tradition.
all of it. Yeah.
They do.
And so, but
To get you in and get your soul.
you've got them saying, give us a death oath, and then, oh, that doesn't mean anything. So they had removed the noose around his neck. They take the blindfold off, and we now hold this brother with a stronger tie than the noose that was around his neck. What's the stronger tie? A death oath. I was listening to an ex-Freemason say, in order for him to get to the higher levels of Satanism, the Church of Satan, this is not Anton LaVey.
No.
See, look, you can look up Anton LaVey. I wouldn't recommend it.
No.
You can look at that level of the Satanic Church, and it looks evil, and it looks like Satan. But you know what? That's low-level Satanism. Anton LaVey. This ex-Mason is talking about himself that if he wanted to get to the highest levels of the Satanic Church, he had to become a Freemason. That's how he became a Freemason. That's why he became a Freemason, to gain traction to go to the higher levels of the Church of Satan.
Then do you know what I read
wild.
about what the higher levels were? Like child sacrifice.
Yeah.
Blood drinking. But they say, oh, that's all a myth. It's a hoax. We're
People
just
don't
making that up.
actually- It's just
'Cause
a show.
I
It's not.
was telling John that the lodges are all separate.
Yeah.
So everyone's lodge can do its own thing. So if you say, oh, you're Freemason and you belong to blah, blah, blah lodge, and this is what this lodge is doing,
Yeah.
they're like, that's not what we do here.
Which
So there's like all this
Yeah.
like conspiracy around it because nobody does the same thing. Your master,
Yeah.
what's it called?
worshipful
master gets to make the decisions for your lodge and what is done.
And I heard that and I was like, that kind of reminds me of how terror cells or whatever cells you want, they all have the same mission, but if the cover gets blown for one cell or they get discovered, all the other ones are still secret and safe because there's deniability. They don't know or they don't have authority over each other. There's I mean, all of this is just crazy. We've only struck on Albert Pike a little bit, who was in the 1800s, like one of the major.
Yes.
He has the major writings of Masonry and the Scottish Rite and all this. There's so much that he has talked about, and they're also in some speeches that he gave. They're just so crazy, like the Jabulan character. he talks about that person is Satan or Lucifer himself.
Yes.
Who is the one who created Eve, is what he teaches in his writings. Who is he's responsible for the Immaculate Conception of Christ.
Yeah, and that's when people started saying the
This is their
Freemasons
top guys.
are in league with the devil. That's when they
Absolutely.
started saying, "Whoa, what's going on here?" And
They are.
Again, very similar to the Mormonism beliefs of that the devil and Jesus are brothers, and
I
all of
think
this.
was that
Jehovah's Witness?
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen,
There you go.
you cannot be involved in the hardcore levels of Satanism unless you are a Freemason.
Yeah.
And me and Lonaiah are watching this guy. He's got all this stuff documented. He wound up a 32nd degree Freemason, and he was called, by this guy William Schnobelen, Schnoebelen.
we have his link to the video.
And we're watching his testimony, and it's just wild. Check it out. All right, did we get that on there?
Yes, we did.
And so he had to go through all this in order to get to the upper echelons of Satanism. And he says when he got that level to that level, and he finally reached that level of the Church of Satan through Freemasonry, he absolutely had to sell his soul to the devil. I mean, that's what he looks you in the... And you can type in William Schnoebelen, exposing the Illuminati from within.
I'll click the link.
We have the link, but if you type in William Schnobelen, this ex-Satanist, high 32 degree Freemason, he has so much stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to find out more, we have the video, and what we're saying is true. This is an seriously high-ranking ex-Freemason that wound up in the upper echelon of the Church of Satan. It's a 54-minute video. It's intriguing. An hour 54. It's exposing the Illuminati from within. He's got all kinds of speaking information on different subjects within the Freemasons also. But there was a book written by W.M. Wilmhurst. He was a lecturer in the lodge. If you don't realize, the lodge is like their church. This is in the 1860s. This is called the meaning of Masonry. The initiate is placed in the northeast corner of the room. He has two paths open to him, a path of light and a path of darkness. The northeast corner is the symbolic place between paths of good and evil. In the book of Meaning of Masonry, page 34, the north always signifies the place of imperfection and underdevelopment. In olden times, the bodies of suicides, reprobates, and unbaptized children were always buried in the north sunless side of the churchyard.
Wow.
It goes on to say...
So they're left in darkness forever.
It goes on to say... The seat of the junior members of the craft, I love how they just keep calling it the craft, is allotted to the north. For symbolic, it represents the condition of the spiritually unenlightened man. The novice in whom the spiritual light lengthens within him has not yet risen. The person being initiated, placed in the northeast corner, is intended to see on the side of him is the path that leads to light, and which he is encouraged to proceed, which is east. Okay? The other side, the north, is spiritual obscurity. Interesting how they make this thing about the north, right?
Yeah.
Psalm 48:2, beautiful for situation. The joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion, heaven, on the sides of the north.
Wow.
The city of the great king. Isaiah 14:13, for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend, this is Lucifer, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation. Where? In the sides of the north. So God's on the north side.
So they're saying...
Heaven's in the north.
Right.
Don't look at the north, guys.
But they're saying the north is evil. They put them in the northeast corner. The path to the north is the evil.
What in the world?
And you know, think about this. what did explorers on the sea use before you had compasses?
North Star.
Yes, the North Star. During their third degree ritual, they say you are killed, buried, and raised from the dead. This is when you get to third degree. And they have a letter G, which is hanging over the worshipful master. They say G is for geometry.
But the guy who started didn't know geometry.
The ex-Masons will tell you it stands for God. In the satanic ritual initiation, they do all of this stuff that the Freemasons do. And the Church of Satan's initiation is almost exactly the same as the Freemasons.
Wow.
Interesting.
Except the Church of Satan, you lay down in a coffin.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes. In the Freemasons, they kneel at the altar in front of the worshipful master. This is during the third degree ritual. Get this. They go through this play act where symbolically they hit him on the head, the initiate. This is for third degree, with a certain type of mallet. He's supposed to fall down and they catch him in a blanket. And then they lower the guy down into something that represents a grave. You have the worshipful master standing at the foot of the grave. From there, the worshipful master, from his grip, pulls him back up. Symbolically, he's being raised from the dead as a third degree Mason. And once the worshipful master stands him up, he pulls him up to him, gets something called the 5 points of fellowship, where the worshipful master is standing in front of the initiate of this third degree ritual. 5 points of fellowship: foot to foot, knee to knee, chest to chest, hand to back, put your mouth in his ear.
Sounds awful.
That's the 5 points of fellowship. And you know what he does?
Tells you the secret word.
He whispers the secret word in his ear. Long John Silver.
No, do you guys know what the 32nd degree Mason, what their secret word is? The eternal gift of God is love. At your 32nd level, well, not a good.
You get it at the first level
You
of
do.
Christianity.
You get it. Yeah, that's true,
Well,
John.
we know the third level.
Because the
That's
only
the
level.
sublime prince of the royal secret. That's their secret word.
Wow, that's a sweet title.
The third level we know is Long John Silver.
John Silver's.
And that word is not spoken.
Only in Bloomington.
Not talking about
Twin
Long John
Cities.
Silver. Not talking about Long. But whatever word that is not to be spoken out loud. You have to speak that word at a low breath. That's maybe why all the Long John Silvers are out of business.
They stop being.
But isn't it
advertised.
interesting that they go through, everybody goes through a ritual where they, or I guess if you get to that level, where you pretend to die and then you think of the Antichrist, like how he pretends to die and he comes back to life. Like, come on, he's not really dead. They're just going to make it seem like it is. And all these people are going to be like, but he really died, because they believe that themselves, that even though they didn't really die, they died.
Third degree Mason, this is called a spiritual birth. This is a rebirth.
So they're mocking the baptisms.
Yeah.
But they're not religious.
No, not religious at all.
And
they just have
in the
rituals
Eastern
and
Star,
rites.
they have the Eastern
Merit
Star,
badges.
which is one of the most powerful symbols in witchcraft and Satanism. It's also called Sirius, Sirius,
Serious, yeah.
or the Dog Star.
The Dog Star.
I don't know if you know this, but the inverted pentagram is the official symbol of the Church of Satan, and not just the certain Satan, but it's officially one of the temples of Set. That's a whole nother. That's the Egyptian thing, and you can find it in the Mormon temple also.
Wow.
The star.
They're all connected.
Always in these lodges above the worshipful master where he sits, you have Baphomet. He's back. The goat.
Interesting.
The
Showing
goat.
up all over the place.
But isn't
in
it-
all
They
these-
have the goat in their lodge.
Isn't it interesting, though? Okay, listen, Christianity, we have one belief. Look at what the devil has to do to get so many people to be
Right.
deceived. He has to create religion after religion after religion after religion.
We've talked to you about the satanic goat Baphomet.
Yes, the goat.
And and that inverted star, and both of these things are directly above the worshipful master in any satanic lodge. Okay? So don't join the Freemasons.
Don't join the Freemasons.
And
And if you have already,
Then denounce it. You don't know. You don't know what you're inviting.
no.
And again, the first 3 levels, we heard the guy said most of the guys
Yep.
He's an ex-Freemason, right? Most of the guys in Freemasonry, they don't even know they don't tell them what's going on.
They think this is a charitable.
Yeah.
Well, and it is charitable because you can pay money
fraternity
to surpass other levels and move up in ranks faster.
Right.
And I was like, huh.
Well,
isn't that interesting?
And I believe these guys are involved in the Shriners, which we've talked about a little bit too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the Freemason
But didn't we
symbol is
listen-
part of the Shriners.
I didn't know that.
Didn't we listen to something on our way in here? How they kind of said they were connected with Universalists?
Yep. Oh, definitely. Because what they say is they talk about the nameless God of or this God of 100 names. They basically just believe that every religion is worshiping the one God. Just under different names.
A nameless God.
The nameless God, because which is, again, it is very easily, you crush all of that with the Word of God and what we know about truth. And so
that was actually interesting. I've always wondered about the Freemasons and the Illuminati. So
absolutely.
You really thought it was interesting, Lonaiah?
I really did.
Yeah.
Okay. Lonaiah with the news.
Because I grew up with every once in a while on a sitcom or whatever, the husband would be going to the lodge meeting or whatever.
Yes,
and
you're right.
I was like, what is
What
this?
is the lodge?
Then my dad and
Mama.
our family doesn't ever go to any of those. I was like, that's
The
interesting.
Shriners. I always wondered about them.
So,
What are they all about?
well, they've got some connections to a few different things, but maybe we can get into that at another time.
Right. The Shriners.
So we talked about it.
I'm glad
in
I'm
the,
a Christian.
The
Wow.
Templar episode, we talked about it just a little bit, but there's some crossover between the two.
Okay. Well,
We got Lonaiah with news, and a lot of that news is not in the news.
some of it is
Okay.
I don't know.
I
Okay,
do know.
so you do know. Well, some people don't know this. So last week there was a bunch of earthquakes in New York and California,
Feel the earth
and
move.
my daughter was there, and
my
I texted her, and I think they were there for like 2 of the earthquakes. And I texted her, she's like, we felt the first one, but she's like, the second one, we were like not paying attention. This guy comes up and he's like, he grabs our arm and is like, did you feel that? She's like, what? He's like, the earthquake. And she's like, oh, I guess like I didn't even notice like the second one, like the first one did. But then the Statue of Liberty was struck.
And
then
by
there-
lightning.
By lightning. Doesn't
on
that
the
remind you of
torch.
John
Yeah.
talking about on the torch, on the hand?
statue of St. Peter,
Yes.
representing the Pope.
Yes, in California, there was a bunch of earthquakes, and this all came around the time, which I know we've done a podcast a long time ago about, I think it was called I know this guy, it's like the Eye of Israel, and his name is David something. He writes about how every time the United States goes against
Interferes with Israel
Yes.
something,
in a negative way.
yes, something happens,
We
right?
are
There's a
judged.
judgment on the United States. So I just thought, isn't that interesting?
We don't want to be a goat nation. We want to
No.
be a sheep
And
nation.
we're
No.
fiddling around with them. We're trying to push them around, and they just need to finish it in Rafah. And
But they
there's
called
four-
a
if-
ceasefire, and they had to remove themselves.
I think that
I don't think they have
don't
called
know.
a ceasefire for sure,
They're not
because
out.
I was
I don't
reading
think they're out
yesterday
either.
they're
that
not out.
Israel was asking Hamas to give them updates on because they're supposed to sell 40 hostages.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, we don't have your 40 hostages
Yeah,
anymore.
I heard-
And then I saw yesterday that an
Yeah.
Israeli strike killed like one of the top Hamas's
Yep.
leaders' sons.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of like, huh. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like he recognized like I have to sacrifice something here. But
Netanyahu was talking about it this weekend.
Was he?
Yeah.
okay. And then Jim, he's talked about the Alma Center. I know we've done an episode with their information, but they sent out a big long article, and I was reading it because it comes to my email. And it was, so all these different countries are asking for Israel
Yeah.
to pull out and to like withdraw and not do anything, but they never use the word Hamas or Hezbollah in
Nope.
any of their verbiage towards Israel, asking them to pull out. So the IDF, this is great. They kind of do what the Border Patrol is doing. They answered back and were like, hey guys, let's remind you what happened on October 7th
Yeah.
here in Israel. And they play a 60-second video, and you can see it on their IDF Instagram video. I didn't attach it to this because I just don't want to feel like you're chill. I know a lot of kids watch this, and you need to have permission from your parents to watch it because it is it's
graphic.
and it's exactly what happened.
But yeah, this is
They don't show
real
like
life.
Yes. But they're like, hey, let's not forget what happened. Let's not forget why we did this. Let's not forget why we're placed in the position we are. And I don't know why these other countries are trying to interfere with us when we only have, 4 battalions left in Rafah that they're trying to get rid of.
4 battalions, 4,000 Hamas troops left. But, I try to watch the Hokie news channels every day.
Yeah.
And this morning I wound up on Channel 2 with, that Amanpour lady?
Yeah. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Christine Amanpour.
Yeah.
But did she not say any of this, Jim?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying.
Oh.
Like you hear all they're focused on are those aid workers. Right?
Oh, yes.
And I kept thinking not one word has been, they're taking Hamas medical numbers saying they've killed 32,000 Palestinians, which is a complete lie. They don't mention a word about what happened October 7th. This was 15 minutes. She had a journalist on from D.C. And I just, I watched that news. I try to catch one of those programs every day just so I can kind of, they're just a bunch of liars. Yeah. They're liars.
Misrepresenting everything.
Yes, they're misrepresenting everything. And it's just.
Speaking of, John, you sent me 2 videos. Yeah. Explain about the Capitol. About the chants and the protests against.
Oh yeah, there's been multiple incursions, and in the U.S. Capitol, specifically last Friday, I believe it was, anti-Israel and pro-Palestinian protesters flooded into the Senate cafeteria and saying, "You don't eat until Palestine eats," or something.
And weren't they saying in Chicago? They're like death to America.
Death to America. That was in Michigan.
Yeah.
They're having an open air gathering in the middle of Michigan. I think it was
death to America and death to Israel.
Death. Yep. Yeah. All of it. And so
nothing's happening.
Well, then go somewhere else.
And who's that lady? Who's that? She's one of the squad members. I can't think of her name.
Oh boy,
Rashida Tlaib.
Yes, they were asking her if she would say, "Hey, what do you think about this? Shouldn't you be denouncing that?" And she just ignored it and skirted the issue and was like, "No."
She skirted that and flat out refuses to denounce that since she's been in office.
Yeah.
But she's an anti-Semite, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, but I forgot to connect this with the earthquakes earlier. So Andy sent me this.
AW?
Yes. Earthquakes erupted during a UN meeting about the Middle East last week. It's just a video, but I attached it here. It is pretty wild. So you're meeting about the Middle East, and then an earthquake happens.
Did that happen while they were running CERN? Oh, it was on Friday,
they did end up running CERN. CERN ended up backpedaling and saying, because they were going to look for God in the eclipse part, and they realized that they probably didn't want to open up that door, so because they weren't going to find God, and they knew it, so they said, no, we're not going to run.
Never mind.
CERN is interesting.
Well, they're going to find the demon locust.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, that's why they didn't open it. Well, they can't open it. They don't have permission. So, John just explained something that took place in the Capitol, and I don't know if you guys have seen this yet, but they have started to arrest more people from the J6 events that took place. So there's this lady, she's 71 years old. They call her the praying grandma. On January 6th, she went to the Capitol, and she was literally outside praying with just a little group of people, right? Praying. She ended up going into the Capitol when it was open, prayed inside there, walked around, and then walked back out. And then they just arrested her, and there's a video. I don't have the video attached. I just have the article. But she's in the back of our car, and she's crying. She's like, all I was praying.
Yeah.
And so I think they're trying to sentence her to a month in jail and a $200,000 fine.
Oh, my God.
Just for going to the Capitol like that. And I know...
After they opened it up for everyone.
After they opened it up for everybody.
On February 7th.
And this journalist explained...
That's a great code word.
February 7th.
February 7th.
She says, I didn't say anything. I didn't even shout or wave. I didn't see any violence when I was there, and there was no damage. And I told you, I watched videos from some friends who were there, and it was literally just people praising and worshiping the Lord and praying.
Well, and the Capitol Police
opened the doors.
They opened the doors and escorted people around.
So listen, 1,265 people have been charged in nearly all 50 states for the February 6th event.
February 7th.
Okay, whatever. But Donald Trump promises when he gets in office that he will free them. And this guy, his name is Raheem Kassam. I can't say his name, but he's great. And he says he characterizes this prosecution perfectly, and he says only an illegitimate regime behaves like this. So he's basically saying like Biden's afraid, so he's coming against and trying to attack these people because he doesn't have anything else.
It is a regime, isn't it?
It is.
Really
Literally feels like a regime.
And this is interesting because I sent John this yesterday. So James O'Keefe, I don't know if this is true or not, but it's probably a spoof. But he says the Pentagon puts out an ad and says, hey, everybody, stop going out to dinner or lunch or drinks with this guy. And it's a picture of James O'Keefe. Because everyone keeps going out to drinks or dinner with him. And he has a video camera and he records things. So he went out to dinner with a CIA officer. So he's in charge of things. And this guy admitted to undercover journalists that FBI agents did attend the February 7th protest at the Capitol. So he confirms.
Do you understand? We're saying February 7th in lieu of if you back up a month and a day.
In the year after 2019.
Yeah,
or
if
2020.
you back up.
Year after 2019.
So ridiculous the way they do this. It's like our secret words.
I know. And you know where the resurrection takes place? They use another word. They use insurrection, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we'll call it the
I was like,
what's going on?
What now?
So we're using February 7th for that day because we've been canceled before.
Well, I wasn't afraid to
using
say it,
that. I know you weren't, but
I wasn't.
We were canceled, so no one saw that episode.
No,
you could on Rumble.
On Rumble.
Yeah,
okay, anyways,
right.
but director Christopher Ray, remember, he said, I'm not sure if there are undercover agents there. I can't
confirm.
We can't confirm or deny. But this guy goes on to say, the CIA officer admits, and he says, you can kind of, this is his quotes, you can watch the video, I watched him say it. You can kind of put anyone in jail if you know what to do. You set them up. You create a situation where they have no choice but to act on impulse. And once they act on impulse, some would call that entrapment, and then you have them.
And it is entrapment.
It is exactly what they did and what they're doing to people. So anyways, I still pray for those January 6th people. February 7th people.
February 7th, back up a month and a day.
That's a lot
what
to
happened?
say.
If you go to February 7th.
Isn't there like a Bible verse where it's like a month, where
and you
it
back
feels
up,
like that?
And you back up a month and a day. What is that?
We all.
Okay.
31 days.
Just a month
you
and a day.
guys, you passed geometry today. Good job.
February 7th.
X plus X equals Y.
That's algebra.
That's algebra.
Officially, we are calling January 6th on the Final Hour podcast, February 7th. Okay. Back up a month and a day.
Thank you.
Sure.
They'll be able to figure that out.
They will. I just don't want to.
Okay.
What's wrong with J6? Okay, I'll do sign language.
Jeremiah 6. It's actually
we can discuss
a biblical
this
reference
later. Okay. So Democrats vote down the amendment to ban Zuckerbucks from Minnesota elections. Does that surprise you? So in the
Can
2020,
you describe what Zuckerbucks are?
Mark Zuckerberg. He's a Nephilim that owns
Wow, so I can't say J6, but you can call someone a Nephilim.
They don't know what it. People don't know what a Nephilim is.
I'm sure those devil worshippers do.
On YouTube,
their Nephilim bosses
do. They don't know what Nephilim is.
Okay, in 2020, Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, and his wife donated $250 million to a nonprofit called the Center for Tech and Civic Life. So this nonprofit dispensed millions of dollars to election departments across the country in the form of grants, right? So they did it. So that's what's called Zuckbucks. So Minnesota Republicans are saying, hey, we don't want that allowed in our election because then basically the election goes to the highest bidder. So Minnesota's elections are for sale then because you guys, obviously the Democrats, they're dirty people, so they have extra money. And they just filtered around with their little charities and then they pour it into...
Charities.
All these, and remember Philadelphia? They said
pour
no
it into
Zuckbucks.
Where? Finish your.
They pour it into like elections
and campaigns
and they flood your system.
They don't even have to give it directly to the campaign. They can give it to a PAC who then advertises.
So Zuckbucks is
in
a way
favor
to cheat.
of
Zuckbucks is what cheat. And I don't remember what episode this was. It was a long time ago. I feel like it was around the time Jim did the solo, which he says was like one of the boringest ones, but I liked it because it talked about the Chinese Communist Party.
No, was it? It was the House. It was how many communists are in the national?
Yeah, but it was around
House of
that time
Representatives.
that we talked about how California funds were coming to Minnesota elections and how they were so like all those people in Silicon Valley cared about. Why do you care about the Minnesota elections? If you kind of look at California, Minnesota, I guess maybe Michigan and Chicago, they're kind of all aligning the same way. Like we want to be a safety center for, transgender children to come to, sanctuary cities for abortion,
and 9 million immigrants, illegal immigrants.
Speaking of,
yes, we're going to be a sanctuary city for 9 million illegal immigrants.
Me and John a couple weeks ago were
Governor Walz wants.
We're sending things back and forth because squatters' rights kind of came up to be a big thing because there was a Venezuelan national who went on his social media.
I watched him. He's a punk.
Yeah, and was like, "Hey, you guys, if you want to come to the United States,
He
let
didn't
me
say
tell
it
you."
like that though.
Well, I'm like,
and he
I'm
was
not
also
gonna.
speaking Spanish.
He's a punk.
Yeah, and he looks demonic. And he was
Yes.
saying, you come here, you go to someone's house, and you squat in it, and you take the house from them because squatters have rights. So basically, if there's a house that's vacant, you go to it as, like let's say John went to, if I had a cabin, I wasn't there, and he went into my cabin and lived there.
Yep.
And I came up and was like, hey, why are you in my cabin? He's like, nope, this is my place. I've been living here for the last month.
Right.
He technically has squatters' rights to stay there.
Right.
You can't. This lady in New York.
There's New York, and then there was problems in California as well.
Yeah, where they showed up to their parents' house or to a family house that they had, and there was somebody in there. They changed the locks. The person who owned the house got arrested, not the squatter who was living there illegally.
Right.
So all that to say that, well, the national who went on and was like, hey, if you immigrants come to America, you go into an empty house, you occupy it, you take it, you get money from the government, you live here for free. It's great. You can do this because if you're right.
They figured this out. Somebody told them this.
So it went viral on social media, and Biden's Department of Justice, all those, the ICE agency, they had because they were getting so many complaints, they had to take this guy down. So finally, after like 3 days, they take his video down. They deport the guy, right? He's out of the country now.
He'll be back.
But this opened up questions on squatters' rights,
Right.
which I will say Governor DeSantis in Florida
Yeah.
abolished all squatters' rights.
Yes.
So in Minnesota, I was reading this week that the Republicans in the House, in the Senate, is that what we are? I guess it would be like our, where do we present our bills and amendments?
It has to go through the House first.
Okay, so it's in the House. So Republicans said, hey, we want to get rid of squatters' rights.
They can both present and then have it cross.
There is a Somalian lady, I think, who was voted in St. Louis Park.
Oh, yeah.
And she stands against, so she's for squatters and their rights.
Yeah.
So she's like, that's just, that we're not going to go against that. These people do have rights. We don't want to amend that bill to make it so squatters' rights go away. So she's arguing the fact that squatters should have rights in the state of Minnesota.
They can come and take your lake house.
Yeah.
They can come and take your house.
They can take
guys.
You go on
whatever.
vacation for extended vacation for a month and a half. You go on a missions trip. You go on something else. They can take it.
They can take your
They
house.
can take it from you.
So all that to say, like, we need
Squatters'
to pray
rights.
over this. And Kathy, another listener, sent in something that
Kathy Burkett running for
something
the
in
House.
Plymouth. Yes. And she sent in the Democrats and all the bills and amendments that they have gotten in. And I was reading the list. I have it attached. And I was reading it, and I was like, wow, look at what these people are trying to push through.
Yes,
They have an agenda.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're going communist.
Speaking of, when I was reading some things about the Freemasons, they said they're socialists and communists. That is like their main goal of Freemasonry.
Yeah, but those guys, see, they won't be part of the communists where everybody gets the same thing. They're going to be the elite.
They'd be the elite.
They're going to be on top.
top.
Every bit of communism has, you have your elite group.
Your ruling elite.
Right.
Your
I
ruling
agree.
class.
Yep.
Okay? So, did you
no, that's
just
good.
skim through the news or?
What do you mean skim?
So last week there was in the Osseo school district there was some LGBTQIA plus history and culture lesson that happened, and that was open for thousands of students across the district. thousands. Let's see here. The district confirmed that 394 students officially opted out using the
I thought I read
provided
1,000
form.
people.
And then another estimated 1,000 students opted out of the class themselves.
That's awesome. Good for you, parents
And just
kids
gathered in
no.
the cafeteria.
How many showed up?
I mean,
say.
it
It's
doesn't
just
say.
saying how many opted out, and you know what? That shows you.
So
people are tired of that
was
agenda.
a big show of no, we don't want to just sit here for you to tell us that we disagree. We disagree, and you're just going to tell us that we're fascists for disagreeing, and
good
so
for
forth.
them.
Fascist
Good for
or
Osseo.
what's
I have
their new?
I have an article to attach to the
Perfect. Send that in.
episode here.
What do they call us now? Christian nationalists?
Christian nationalists.
Okay, that's their new thing. Okay.
My wife just heard it in a conversation in Minneapolis last week, and she was shocked. She was like, "Oh, people are actually
Using that verbiage.
this."
Yes, so we have hit 2 hours exactly right now, and on that note, we're going to close it down. Please subscribe. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Check out the Israel trip. You can go to the Final Hour Podcast website. Should have said this up front. It's in the top.
Jerry does it all.
Oh, he does
shows
do it. That's right.
But can I say,
Jerry, how could
Israel,
we do this without
if you're wavering about Israel, it is an experience that will change your life. Honestly, I have had the opportunity to go a few times. 2 of my children have, and we talk about it all the time. It is a spiritual experience that honestly you will never get anywhere, and it brings the Bible to life.
And thank you so much for tuning into the Final Hour Podcast. We will see you next week. God bless you.